Give us my chol, give us my chol, give us my chol, give a smile. Give us my chol, give us my chol, be the reason someone smiles. Give us my chol, give us my chol, give us my chol, give a smile. Give us my chol, give us my chol, be the reason someone smiles. Give us my chol, give us my chol, give us my chol, give a smile. Give us my chol, give us my chol, be the reason someone smile. Give us my chol, give us my chol, give us my chol, give a smile. Give us my chol, give us my chol, be the reason someone smiles. Siva gedola, liyo liyo besimcha. Siva gedola, liyo liyo besimcha. Siva gedola, liyo liyo besimcha. Siva gedola, liyo besimcha. Siva gedola, liyo 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 besimcha. Be the reason someone smiles. 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 Siva gedola, liyo besimcha. Siva gedola, liyo liyo besimcha. Siva gedola, liyo liyo besimcha. Siva gedola, liyo besimcha. Someone smile. Be the reason someone smile. Be the reason someone smile. Be the reason someone smiles. Be the reason someone smiles. Give us my chol, give us my chol, give us my chol, give a smile. Give us my chol, give us my chol, be the reason someone smiles. Give us my chol, give us my chol, give us my chol, give a smile. Give us my chol, give us my chol, be the reason someone smiles. Siva gedola, liyo liyo besimcha. Siva gedola, liyo liyo besimcha. Siva gedola, liyo liyo besimcha. Siva gedola, liyo besimcha. Give us my chol, give us my chol, give us my chol, give a smile. Give us my chol, give us my chol, be the reason someone smile. Give a Schmeichel, give a Schmeichel, give a Schmeichel, give a smile. Give a Schmeichel, give a Schmeichel. Be the reason someone smiles. Siva, Gedola, Leo, Leo, Desimcha. Siva, Gedola, Leo, Leo, Desimcha. Siva, Gedola, Leo, Leo, Desimcha. Siva, Gedola, Leo, Desimcha. Siva, Gedola, Leo, 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 Desimcha. Be the reason someone smiles. 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 Siva Gedola, Leo Desimcha. Siva Gedola, Leo Leo Desimcha. Siva Gedola, Leo Leo Desimcha. Siva Gedola, Leo Desimcha. Someone smile. The reason someone smile. The reason someone smile. The reason someone smiles.
Gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go.
Breakfast with Elli.
Mode ani lefanecha melech chai v'kayam shechazarta bi nishmati b'chemla raba emunatecha.
No ya mavdil ben kodesh lechol
היחס של הרבי לצה"ל היה יחס מיוחד מאוד בגלל כמה דברים. קודם כל, הוא ראה אנשים שמוכנים למסור את נפשם בשביל עם ישראל, בשביל ארץ ישראל, בשביל עם ישראל, וזה התבטא בחיילים בצבא.
Der erste Linie von Messias Nefesh befehlt, begufo, behogen al Eretz HaKodesh al Gei Kodesh Hadorbe, wegen sein Befehl ab der Messias Nefesh, Das ist der größte Schuss, was er kann sein, sind nicht toll Hecher von der Minion von Messias Nefesh Bepeh.
ולכן הוא גם ככה הקדיש כל כך הרבה מקום לנושא הזה. הרבי הקדיש מקום לזה. זה שאנשי חב"ד מופיעו בכל היחידות, זה לא היה מעצמו. זה הרצון של הרבי.
Here we are. Good morning and welcome to Practice with Elli. It is Sunday, the 11th day of February, the second day of Adar Rishon. Torah portion is Terumah. HaYom of Rishon is the first day counting before Shabbos. We learning the first Aliyah. Good morning to Koch, Shavua Tov, a good week. How are you? I'm so glad to see you. Did you have a great Shabbos? I did. I like that. I like great Shabbos. Yeah? You too? All right. We have a lot to do today, so let's get started. Men and boys, two front sisters, and let's be happy. It's Adar. Ready? All right.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al mitzvat tzitzit.
All right. Al Divrei Torah, everyone.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al divrei Torah.
Hareini Makabel.
Hareini mikabel alay mitzvat aseh shel ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. I take upon myself every single day to love my fellow friend in a very special way.
Torah Tziva.
Ay Torah tziva lanu Moshe morasha keilat Yaakov. Torah tziva lanu Moshe morasha keilat Yaakov.
And that brings us to giving tzedakah.
I put it in the pushki, that's a tzedakah box. I put it in the pushki, that's a tzedakah box. I put it in the pushki for someone else to keep. Yeah, I put it in the pushki, that's a tzedakah box. I put it in the pushki, that's a tzedakah box. I put it in the pushki for someone else in need.
Tzedakah has been given, and that takes us to the Terumah. All right. Saying of the Shema. Excuse me. All right, let's go. Put your right hand over your eyes.
Shema
All right, I've got my yogurt and I've got my coffee. Are you ready to make a bracha with me? Shahakol. Ready? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shahakol nihiyah bidvaroi.
Coffee, blessed coffee. God bless you for being a friend. When the whole world turns on me, it's only you on which I can depend. I want to taste you in the morning and a few times throughout the day. Yes, a cup or two in the evening too. For me, it's the only way. Yeah.
All right. Oh, that's delicious. I just wanted to get that ready for us here. All right. Let me get to today in Jewish history. Excuse me. Yep, we got that down. Okay. Today is the outside of Rabbi Yom Tov Al-Ghazi. Rabbi Yom Tov Al-Ghazi was the chief rabbi of Yerushalayim from 1773 until his death in 1802. During a journey to Europe to raise money for the Jewish community in Israel, he discovered a manuscript of a work of Nachmanides. It was a compilation of the laws of the firstborn and a separation of Challah, styled after Yitzchak Al-Kfasi's Code of Jewish Law. Rabbi Yom Tov undertook to publish the manuscript, accompanied by a lengthy commentary which he authored, which brought him worldwide fame as a Torah scholar. The Byzantine Emperor Justinian ordered that under his jurisdiction, instead of reading the Torah on Shabbos, the Greek translation must be read. This was in the year 553 CE. He also prohibited rabbis from speaking in public on the Parsha or teaching Torah. I know. The Black Death riots, the massacre of the Jews of Freiburg, happened in 1349. And the Nazis confiscated all the Torah scrolls and other Jewish books that belonged to the inhabitants of the Kovna ghetto in 1942. Hitler devised a plan in 1942 for the Museum of Judaism to remember the dead Jewish religion, culture, and people. Millions of Jewish treasures, Torah scrolls, ritual objects, books and art were looted by the Nazis and taken to warehouses in Czechoslovakia. The objects were taken to the Jewish Museum in Prague, where the Jews themselves were forced to sort, label, and pack the items for use in the Nazis' future museum. After the war, many of these items were recovered, including thousands of Torah scrolls and nearly 1 million books, distributed to Jewish communities worldwide as a living testimony to the indestructibility of the Jewish people. All right. So here we are. In 1970, a major victory as the Knesset passed a bill called Mihu Yehudi, defining a Jew as one born to a Jewish mother or converted to Judaism. Now, over 40 years later, there are still fights over the definition. The Rebbe wanted them to add converted to Judaism kahalacha, according to Jewish law, but that never got passed, and so we still struggle with that today. Crazy stuff. All right. Adar. We have 2 months of Adar this year. Because we are in a lunar cycle, and our cycle is slightly shorter than the solar cycle, so every so often we get a little bit off kilter. And so the holidays should be in their proper places. The Rabbanim, the rabbis, instituted a leap month when they were fixing the calendar. Now, The Rebbe repeated numerous times in 1992, which was also a leap year, that the 60 days of Adar can eradicate the undesirable and even transform it. The Rebbe says, this year the months of Adar include 60 days, when the first day of Rosh Chodesh Adar is included in this reckoning. The number 60 is associated with the nullification of undesirable influences, batul b'shishim, as we talked about. Furthermore, when non-kosher food is mixed with 60 times the quantity of kosher food, the entire amount, including the amount of non-kosher food that's become intermingled with the mix, may be eaten. This points to not only the nullification of opposing forces, but their transformation into positive influences. And we will study this law this week in the Rambam. All right, so that's really, really important stuff. Important stuff to remember. We'll continue talking about the month of Adar in the coming days as we do our 60 days. Here's something for you. Oh, I guess not. All right, hold on. I know where to find this. I thought it was right there, but apparently it's not. All right. Here we go. HaYom Yom for today.
Adar Marbin Besimcha, happy thoughts. So there was someone that wrote a letter to the Lubavitcher Rebbe and said, I can't be happy. And the Rebbe wrote back to him as follows. He says, since the Torah commanded us to be happy, so absolutely you could be happy. What you need to do is work on your ratzon and your will to be happy. And as long as you want to be happy, you will be able to be happy. So I want to wish each and every one of us in Chodesh Adar, we should add in our simcha, we could be happy because the Torah tells us we can be happy. We just have to want to be happy and we'll be happy. Have a great Chodesh Adar, full of simcha, full of joy, and full of happiness.
All right, not exactly what was supposed to happen.
So there's the truth, there's a lie, and then there's the gray area in between. Say you walk into a store and there's a sign on the wall that reads, "We love our customers." Usually what they mean with that sign is, "We love your money." But that wouldn't go over so well on a sign. So they opt for, "We love our customers." Not a total lie, but also not the real truth. But if you're talking to somebody who really matters in your life, then the gray area is not enough. You have to speak the real truth. Rabbi Shneir Zalman, the first Rebbe of Chabad, insisted that our relationship with Hashem be intimate and absolutely truthful. Says today's HaYom Yom, the Alter Rebbe set forth a program for his Hasidim in which he demanded that we strive intellectually for truth and that we critically examine our every move and make certain that it conforms to the truth. Now, some people might make the mistake of thinking, says the HaYom Yom, that achieving truth is this impossible task that requires us to turn the world upside down. Says the HaYom Yom, that's not what it's about. Attaining truth means that when you recite a bracha, when you make a blessing, you do it with your entire heart. You vest yourself into the words of that blessing with sincerity. When you study Torah, you are cognizant of the fact that the words that you are saying are the words of Hashem. When you offer a prayer to Hashem, doing that truthfully means that you have the proper presence of mind, and in your heart you know that you stand in prayer before the King of Kings. Living life truthfully means that you reach out to a friend in true love and friendship. It doesn't come naturally to always do things with that absolute truth. It requires tremendous effort. And the HaYom points out that you've got to study in order and work hard in order to make this come about. But with the proper efforts, you can achieve truth. And I'm assuming that if you do so, the Alter Rebbe, Rabbi Shneir Zalman, will be proud of you.
All right. All right. So let's try the 60 days of Simcha again. We are on day 2.
Happy Chodesh Adar. As we are now in the beginning of the month of Adar, this year we have 2 Adars, so we're blessed with 2 months of Simcha, 2 months of joy and celebration, based on what it says in the Talmud, Mishanichnas Adar Marbe Mesimcha. When the month of Adar comes, we have to add. Every single day we add in joy and happiness. So literally for the next 2 months, every single day we're going to add in joy and happiness. How do we do that? So we know the greatest way to add in joy and happiness is by learning Torah. As it says, Pikudei Hashem Yesharim Esamche Leiv. The ways of Hashem are straight and it makes us happy. So in the Talmud, where it speaks about Mishanichnas Adar, when Adar begins, we have to increase in happiness. So the commentary Ben Yehoyada says as follows. Why? Why are we increasing in happiness? So he explains, because in the month of Av, as we know, in the month of Av, we diminish our Simcha because there were 5 terrible things that happened to the Jewish people in the month of Av. In the month of Adar, there were 5 terrible things that were supposed to happen to the Jewish people. Number 1, they wanted to wipe out all the male adults. They wanted to wipe out all the female adults. They wanted to wipe out all the male children and all the female children. And then they wanted to take away everything that belonged to us. There was 5 terrible things. What happened? Hashem saved us. Hashem saved us from 5 calamities. He saved the male adults, the female adults, the male children, the female children, and nothing was taken away from us. So because we were saved, that's the reason for simcha, for happiness. But what's the connection with happiness? So the commentary says something very, very beautiful. What was supposed to happen? 5 terrible things. Hashem averted it and didn't happen. 5 in Hebrew is chamisha. Chamisha is spelled with a ches, mem, shin, hey. And ches, mem, shin, hey is the same letters for simcha, for happiness. So when the chamisha, terrible things were taken away, what are you left with? You're left with real simcha. And that's the reason to celebrate and be happy in the month of Adar. So I want to wish each and every one of us, we should continue to have simcha every single day and every single night of the month of Adar. Happy Rosh Chodesh and a happy Adar.
And now, a word from our sponsors. PestProRidol.com.
PestProRidol.com. Trusted by the best to keep away the pests. We are offering COVID-19 disinfection services. Mention this ad and get 1 month free service. Visit us at PestProRidol.com.
Tarzane Group. Micro, miniature, and small orchids. Go to tarzanegroup.com or call Tomas at 305-440-0565. That's 305-440-0565 and order today. Visit Tomas and Yair at tarzanegroup.com. Micro, miniature, and small orchids. Beautiful in your home. Go to the website and read Tomas's orchid blog. And by Dina D Design. DinaDDesign@gmail.com. Fine artwork, custom made to your specifications, logos, wall hangings, Judaica, and you can even have something for your child's room. Dina D Designs. Go to her Facebook or Instagram or call or text. Thank you very much to our sponsors. If you'd like to become a sponsor, please go right up here to where it says patreon.com/theactorsrabbi, and you can contribute even only $1 a month if you'd like, but that'll help us bring this broadcast to you on a daily basis and cover our expenses. Be sure to thank your sponsors when shopping and mention Breakfast with Elli when you're shopping there. There might be discounts. Thanks for watching.
Torah, 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 Tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 Tziva lanu Moshe.
All right, patreon.com/theactorsrabbi or breakfastwithelli.live/newcomputer if you would like to contribute to bringing Torah to the world. All right, Parshas Terumah. Terumah means a contribution. Since the tabernacle was made from contributions made by the Jewish people. But why is a parsha that's about the Mishkan, the sanctuary in the desert, Hashem's house, why is that parsha about man's contribution? Chassidus teaches us that Hashem created the world because he had a plan, but the plan contains a clause. The plan is that Hashem's presence should be revealed in the world. The clause is this should occur by the efforts of man. After the giving of the Torah, Hashem stated his plan. He taught us that we can reveal his presence in the world by performing the mitzvahs. But at that moment, everything had come from Hashem. With the construction of the Mishkan, Hashem's clause began to be implemented. And now, man had made an effort to help Hashem's plan reach fruition. It's for this reason that our Parsha, which speaks of Hashem's house, is named after man's contribution. For Hashem's house could only be completed when his clause for human involvement was adhered to. A problem with this Parsha is that it appears at first glance to be obsolete. The Mishkan was a temporary structure, which was superseded by the temple in Jerusalem. So why read about it at all? What significance does it have? Well, the Mishkan, the tabernacle in the desert, possessed one advantage which the Holy Temple does not have. The uniqueness of the Mishkan is that it brought its contribution to the farthest of places, the desert. So we read Parshas Terumah year after year after year to remind us of the need to bring Yiddishkeit, Judaism, to the most distant places. And that would be Ufaratzta, to spread out and bring our well springs of Torah to the world, to the entire world, and not to leave anything out. In the first Aliyah, Hashem instructs Moshe to accept contributions from the Israelites for the construction of a Mishkan. Excuse me. V'asu l'mikdash v'shachanti b'soicham. Let them make for me a sanctuary, and I will dwell amongst them. We're going to talk about that. The needed materials, precious metals, dyed wools and hides, flax, wood, olive oil, spices, and gems. Hashem then gave detailed instructions regarding the construction and dimensions of the tabernacle and its kelim, its vessels, starting with the aron, the ark that housed the tablets. It was to be made of gold-plated acacia wood. Rings are to be attached to the corners of the ark, wherein were inserted the poles that were used to transport the ark. And that, my friends, takes us to Rabbi Avtson, Chumash and Rashi. All right. And that takes us to Parsha Points with Rabbi Epstein. The names are so similar. It is sometimes. All right, here we go.
Parsha Points for Terumah Sunday. What do we have and what do we merely possess? The tendency is to look in the closet for our stuff. Maybe that's the mistake. What we have today wears out and becomes a nuisance. Clean out those closets and find that it's not what you have that is yours. Look in your life and see what you give to others, and that's yours. Hold something tight and it wears out. Share it with a friend and it's yours forever. The parsha begins when you take Terumah. Take, yeah. Giving makes something yours eternally. Give. It takes all you got.
Wow. All right. Shnayim Yomi on the parsha.
Parshas Terumah Rishon. So the beginning of Parshas Terumah, the Torah discusses giving nedavos, giving gifts, and for the building of the Mishkan. And the pasuk says, "Me'es kol ish asher yidvenu libai," that the gifts that were given for the Mishkan have to come from the divas halev. They have to come from inside. They have to come from the heart. And Rashi, in the end of the Torah, the last pasuk in Chumash, when Moshe Rabbeinu broke the luchos, speaks about the concept of nesiyas halev, lifting up the heart. Nasa li by lishbar saluchos, that when Moshe Rabbeinu broke the luchos, he had a nesiyas halev. What is nesiyas halev? The Ramban, in the end of Sefer Shmos, explains nesiyas halev means something that comes from deep inside of you, from tivoi, from your teva, from way inside of you. That the nedava, that which you give, has to have really meaning. And I'll try to explain it a little bit. There's I once heard from the Novominsker Rebbe Zatzal. He quoted Hashem Mishmuel, the Sachat Shavarav, on the pasuk in Shir Hashirim. The pasuk we all know, Leisira levesa misheleg, hichol beisa lo v'shanim. The Eishes Chayil does not have to worry about the cold for her family in the snow, because she dresses them in wool, in shanim. And the Medrash says, Leisira levesa misheleg, hichol beisa lo v'shanim, al tikra shanim el shnayim. Don't read it shanim meaning wool, but shnayim, two. As the psukim say, Ozav Tazoiv, Pasayach Tiftach, Nosam Titain, all of the mitzvahs of Gemilas Chasodim use a double language. They use a language of Nosain Titain. And the Shem Shmuel explains that each of those double languages, the first word is always what's called a shorish, the root of the verb, and the second one is the active one. So Pasayach is the root, and Tiftach is the verb. Nosain is the root, and Titain is the verb. And then Shem Shmuel explains that what does that mean? That there is such a thing called the Gehenim Shel Eish. There's a Gehenim that's fire. That's for people who do Averis B'chamimus. They do Averis with hot Averis, so to speak. And then there's a Gehenim Shel Sheleg. There's a Gehenim for people who do mitzvahs B'kariris. They do their mitzvahs cold. So this pasuk means, Leisira levesa misheleg. Don't worry, the Eishes Chayil says, don't worry about the Gehenim Shel Sheleg. Because whenever we do mitzvahs of Gemilos Chesed, we do them from the Shoresh. Shenemar Pasayach Tiftach, Nosan Titain. Every time we give from the Shoresh, from inside, from in the heart. If our Nesinas, if our Tzedakahs, if that's what we do when we are giving over things for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, come from the heart, then we will see the Hatzlacha that the Klal Yisrael had with the building of the Mishkan, that will be Zeicha to the Hashras Hashchina on a Mishkan that we build.
All right. Fantastic. And that takes us to Michael Kigel for today.
How stiff should your neck be?
How tough the nape of a Hebrew son, a member of that stiff-necked crew that heeded the commands of their blessed Captain Moses for 40 years across a wide, dry ocean of yellow dunes?
Okay. Yeah, like them.
How stiff an ape? Why, as stiff as the mainmast of a whale ship in the eye of a storm.
Okay, that's pretty stiff.
As stiff as the great bronze altar on which first mate and brother of Moses, Aaron, the high priest, sacrificed unto the Lord on high.
Right, yes, okay, but here's the thing. Take the bronze altar.
And he made the altar of burnt offerings of acacia wood, and he overlaid it with bronze.
And he made the altar hollow with boards.
Aye, with stiff boards.
Aye, hollow with boards.
Aye, an altar made of bronze, like Seleni's bronze Perseus.
Aye, matey, yes, right, but no, not of solid bronze, actually. Not like Seleni's bronze Perseus. The altar was overlaid with bronze, but hollow on the inside.
Hollow on the inside? What sayest thou, man?
You just cited the verse yourself. The altar was hollow with boards. I'm just saying that if you're going to reference the bronze altar as a homiletical paradigm for the kind of stubborn stiff-neckedness that a Jew or anyone else needs to get through life, I'm just not so sure that the homily really works.
Thou blackguard! Was it not God who said to Moses, I have seen this people, and behold, it is a stiff-necked people?
Well, first of all, I think it's pronounced blackguard. And secondly, yes, God did say that to Moses, and he did mean it as a compliment to the people. It's important to be stiff-necked in order to maintain one's faith against scoffers.
Against all the human, all too human opposition to one's spiritual strivings.
Yep, determination, obstinacy, ambition, and striving for one's spiritual goals against the culture despisers of religion. Gotta keep a stiff neck. And let's not forget, against what seems like bad luck sometimes, as if God doesn't care, as if reality were some thing with an inscrutable malice sinewing it.
Aye, a white whale, a great white whale.
Great white whale, okay, why not?
That inscrutable thing is what I hate. And be the white whale agent, or be the white whale principal, I will wreak that hate upon it.
Okay, Captain, there's the issue right there. The whole hate thing. I hate the great white whale. The great white whale chewed off my leg. Ouch, ouch, boo-hoo. I'm gonna spend the rest of my life chasing down the great white whale.
And I'll chase him round Good Hope, and round the Horn, and round the Norway maelstrom, and round perdition's flames before I give up.
Arrgh.
Arrgh. Oh, arrgh.
Okay, see, now that's what I'm talking about. A neck made of bronze, a stiff-necked ambition is a great thing, but where's the humility, Captain?
Humility? Talk not of humility, man. I'd strike the sun if it insulted.
Okay, time out, chill pill, think. The altar that we were just talking about was not made of solid bronze. It was hollow, and the inner cavity was filled with earth. And you know how earth and humility are connected.
Earth? Terra firma?
That's right. Etymology of earth. Come on. Earth in Latin. Nominative singular.
Humus?
Humus, humility. Humble like the dust of the earth. It's the same in Hebrew. The first human being, Adam, was made from the Adamah, the earth, because...
For dust thou art, and to dust shalt thou return.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And like we say in our prayers 3 times a day, V'nafshi ke'afar lakol tihyeh, and may my soul be like dust to all.
Thou sayest that thrice daily?
Thrice. That's right. Thrice.
Them's mighty words, matey.
Aye, mightiest words indeed about a very unmightiest state of soul. But there can be no authentic ambition without humility. With humility, all one's stiff-necked determinations navigate in a godly direction. Without humility, for all you know, all your greatest ambitions in life, your loftiest aspirations, are nothing but spiritually perverse or empty pursuits like
hunting a great white whale?
And halibut tastes better anyway.
Halibut?
Not too fatty.
Like carp, fried?
With chips. Halibut. It's a stubborn yet humble fish. And it's kosher.
All right, and that takes us to the saying of Tehillim for today. Gotta love Michael.
Al Yedei Amiras Tehillim, Ve'al Yedei Amiras Tehillim, Ve'al Yedei Amiras Tehillim, Tisoyrecha Vatzeles HaShoroin.
All right, the saying of Tehillim, which is, as we know, so vitally, incredibly, unbelievably important that we need to say it every time we have free time. So let's say chapters 23 and chapter 122.
מזמור לדוד, אדוני רואי, לא אחסר, בינוס תשע, ירביצני, על מי מנוחוס ינהלני, נפשי שובב, ינחני ומעגלי צדק, למען שמו, גם כי לך בגץ על מובס, לא ירא, כי אתה עמדי, שבטך ומשענתך, המה ינחמוני. תערוך לפני שולחן נגד צורריי, תשענת בשמן ראשי, כוסי רוויה, אך טוב וחסד ירדפוני. כל ימי חיי ושבתי בביס אדוני לאורך ימים.
שמע לישראל ושמחתי ויאמרים לי ויסעלינו הנה אלי איים דייסה יורה אלינו בשערייך ירושלים ירושלים הבנויה כאיש יחור עלי יחדיו ששמו שותים שבטי העדות לישראל להידייס לשם עלינו Shama yashavu chisais v'mishvat Kisais levayis David Shalu shalayim Yerushalayim Yishrayu ayhavayich Ahai Yishalayim Michayleich Shava V'ayvena Yisayich
Here we go. We are doing Tanya for today, the second day of the first month of Adar.
Tanya thoughts for the 2nd of Adar. A true story, not like the lies I usually tell you. There was once a non-kosher restaurant in New York that was bought out by a kosher establishment, and they wanted to maintain the same ambiance and level of service. One big issue they had in transitioning to kosher was that a lot of the wines on the fine wine list are not mavushal, and therefore there was a problem if it was being poured by a Gentile waiter. So they instituted a rule that there would have to be Jewish waiters. Then the question was raised, what about the patrons? If they are not Shabbos observant, is there a problem with that wine? A Lubavitcher on the staff suggested that when Jews came for Kosher Bracha, there were many non-Shabbos observant Jews, and yet when the Rebbe poured wine into their glass, we didn't consider that a problem. Another said, well, I'm not so sure about this. Let me ask my Rav. The Rav said the example is not valid, because when a Jew comes before the Lubavitcher Rebbe, in that moment he does tshuva. Show a Jew a little Kedusha, and it will snap forward all of their godly soul. Show them a little bit of godliness, and no matter how deep in the muck they are, their godliness will emerge.
Let's talk Tanya for the second day of the first Adar. The larger topic over here is the topic of negative emotions and how to avoid them. And in yesterday's Tanya, we spoke about negative emotions that result from the hardships and difficulties in life. We also spoke about guilt. Today, we're going to move on to a different negative emotion, which is shame. Now, shame and guilt, they might sound like they're interchangeable. They might sound like they're synonyms, but they're very different one from another. Guilt is, I did something bad. Shame is, I am bad. There's something wrong with me. And that's the feeling that we have when we think about ourselves and we think about our different character flaws, our temptations, our desires, our anger management issues, our pettiness, our selfishness, our lack of spiritual sensitivity, whatever it is that when we look in the mirror and the image that looks back at us, I'm not talking physically, we're like, really? I'm not happy with that. Not about what we've done, but about who we are. And the shame or a feeling of inadequacy or low self-worth can also lead to frustration, because here I am and I have these character flaws and I've been fighting with them my entire life and I don't seem to be making any significant headway at all. And that's a very frustrating experience. So both the shame and the frustration, these are negative emotions which we have to get rid of because we need to serve God with joy. So the main idea is that as opposed to guilt, which we spoke about yesterday, which guilt, when done correctly and properly, is legitimate, shame is never legitimate, for reasons that will become clearer as we continue in this chapter. But ultimately, feelings of shame are never legitimate. These are feelings that always have to be thrown away if and when we feel them. Now, sometimes we do something wrong and we feel a combination of guilt and shame. I feel guilty about what I did and I feel ashamed about who I am, in which case we need to do a surgery over here, and the guilt is appropriate and we need to deal with it as the Alter Rebbe explained in the previous chapter we spoke yesterday. We need to designate a time when to deal with it, and the shame needs to be thrown into the garbage. But how do we throw the shame and the frustration into the garbage? So the Alter Rebbe is going to give us a number of perspectives in this chapter, a very powerful chapter, at least in my experience. And the first one the Alter Rebbe says is, there's a verse that says, which means, do not stray after your hearts and after your eyes, after which you tend to stray. In other words, the Torah is acknowledging that we have hearts that tend to stray, and there's a mitzvah in the Torah that says, don't stray after them. When you have the temptation, when you have a desire to do something wrong, and that temptation, that desire comes from the fact that internally you're not so spiritual, you're not so holy, and you have your character flaws, the Torah tells us, but don't act upon them. And every single time we don't act upon one of these temptations, we are actually doing a mitzvah. In fact, our sages tell us that if a person sits and abstains from doing a sin, he receives reward as if he has done a mitzvah. Now, obviously, that means that when you are in a position to do a sin and you have the temptation and you abstain from it, it's as if you've done a mitzvah. So think about it for a second. These character flaws that you have, which you find so unattractive and you wish you can get rid of them, but can you reframe them and realize that what they actually are mitzvah opportunities? Because every single time one of these character flaws flares its ugly head, and because of it you have a desire to do something which is inappropriate, and you don't, you've done a mitzvah. Why would you be upset over having a mitzvah opportunity? Talk about a reframe. Instead of something which is a negative thing, all of these is opportunities to be able to do a mitzvah. Okay, that is step one in how to eliminate our shame over our character defects, but we have a ways to go, and we'll continue, God willing, in tomorrow's Tanya.
All right. I think we have time for, yeah, here we go.
Thank you for joining Tanya in 5. Today's lesson for the 2nd of Adar, we conclude chapter 29. Chapter 29 in one word is crushing, mivatshim. This is a very crushing experience that the Beinoni is going through in order to crush the sitra achra, the negative side from within, the evil inclination that rises itself above and doesn't allow, and the animal soul, together the animal soul and the body, doesn't allow the divine soul to infuse him and therefore gives a dullness of heart. Not to say that Beinoni has complete mastery over thought, speech, and action, but nonetheless there's a dullness of heart that he needs to, we spoke earlier, rage against. Now, why would raging help, or why would the meditation help in order to subdue the sitter acher, the negative side of the individual, or for that matter, the forces of the world that are negative? So the Alter Rebbe explains that the explanation is, in truth, that the negative side has no substance whatever. Sitter acher has no substance. It's compared to darkness, in which has no substance, and consequently it is banished, darkness, in the presence of light. So in a similar fashion, the sitter acher, although it possesses abundant vitality because it animates all the impure animals and all the souls, nations of the world, our animal soul, and the likewise, nevertheless, it has no vitality of its own. Where does it come from? It comes from the realm of holiness, because there are not two forces in this world. There's only one force, and that's God. But the force of Klipa Sitter Acher, it comes from God's holiness, as we've explained many times how that happens through tzimtzum, contraction. Therefore, since it comes from holiness, it's completely nullified in the presence of holiness, as darkness is nullified before physical light. Except there's one distinction here. In regard to holiness of the divine soul, God has given permission for the animal soul to rise up against the divine soul in order to challenge it. Why? In order that the divine soul should overcome and humble the animal soul, to submit the spirit of the sitter acher, that is despicable, before the spirit of the divine soul. And though the impulse from, through this impulse from below, there's an impulse from above. In other words, from an arousal from below, that we subdue the darkness because of the light of the divine soul that is pushes away that darkness. So when we are when we deprive the dominion and the power from our animal soul and the sitter acher from within, then what we do is also above create the same reality, that the sitter acher has no strength and authority, because the only authority was given was only to rise against the divine soul. But when we subdue it, it's banished, because just like darkness is nullified by physical light, so likewise the animal soul and the sitter acher are banished because of the divine light of the soul. Indeed, this is exactly what the story is with the